Welcome to the Show Me State. To see how Missouri connects the country together, we're going to open a magical scrapbook that takes us right to the middle of the map. Missouri sits directly in the center of the United States. If you wanted to travel from the East Coast to the West Coast, or from the Northern Plains down to the Deep South, you would likely cross right through here. The state is defined by two giant bodies of water. The Mississippi and the Missouri rivers are like massive flowing highways that meet right on the state's eastern edge. Sitting directly in the middle of the country and anchored by these giant rivers makes Missouri a central hub for travel, nature, and people in America. For thousands of years before Missouri was a state, native peoples like the Osage and the Missouria built towns, farmed, and traveled these waters. They knew the land deeply, and many native nations still call this region their historical homeland today. Later on, this central location became the main starting point for pioneers packing their families into covered wagons to travel out to the Western territories. Eventually, those slow wagons gave way to massive, smoke-puffing steamboats and fast-moving trains that could carry tons of heavy cargo. These powerful machines transported huge amounts of trade, bringing new families, languages, and ideas to the growing towns resting along the riverbanks. From hand-paddled canoes to towering riverboats and heavy steel trains, these overlapping paths turned Missouri into a historical gateway for the expanding country. The state itself is split into very different landscapes. If you travel up north, you will find miles of wide-open rolling prairies and rich farmland. Head south, and the ground rises up into the Ozarks, a rugged region filled with thick green forests, deep rocky valleys, and clear cold springs. Missouri also sits right where different weather patterns crash into each other. That means you can experience hot, sticky summers, sudden and powerful thunderstorms, and freezing, icy winters, all in the same year. Because the land and weather change so much from top to bottom, growing up in a northern farm town feels completely different from living down in the rocky Ozark Hills. Missourians have used these landscapes to create famous art. A writer named Mark Twain spent his childhood watching steamboats on the river, and he used those memories to write books that people still read all over the world. Black Missourians shaped the sound of American music. In the busy cities, musicians developed the swinging, upbeat sounds of Kansas City jazz, using brass instruments like saxophones and tubas. They also created the deep, emotional rhythms of St. Louis blues. These bands played energetic live shows that drew huge crowds and brought people from all different neighborhoods together on the dance floor. Missouri's culture is built directly out of the stories, songs, and creativity of the diverse people who live there. If you want to see where the state makes its laws, you can visit the giant stone columns and grand dome of the Capitol building in Jefferson City. Over in St. Louis, a massive, curving silver monument called the Gateway Arch towers into the sky, built to honor the city's history as a starting point for Western travelers. The state also has official nature symbols you can spot in your own backyard, like the bright blue feathers of the eastern bluebird and the white flowers of the dogwood tree. You can even eat the official state dessert, the ice cream cone. It became popular when vendors sold them to the massive crowds visiting the 1904 World's Fair in St. Louis. These giant monuments and quirky symbols give everyone in the state something familiar to point to and share with their neighbors. This chart shows exactly how much food Missouri grows. Last year, farmers harvested over 276 million bushels of soybeans and 677 million bushels of corn, making agriculture a multi-billion-dollar business. Because the state sits right in the middle of the country's rivers and highways, it is a perfect place to build airplanes, process food, and ship heavy cargo anywhere it needs to go. At the same time, students and scientists at universities all across the state are busy studying plant biology, engineering new machines, and discovering new medicines. By combining rich soil with fast shipping routes and modern science, Missouri keeps its economy growing and its people working. The state of Missouri is known as the Cave State because thousands of dark, silent cave systems hide beneath its hills. Rainwater slowly melts away the state's soft limestone rock, creating a landscape that acts like a giant sponge, where water carves out giant underground rooms and hidden streams. These ancient rocky layers have protected the remains of creatures that lived here millions of years ago, like the state dinosaur, a duck-billed plant eater called the Hypsibema. Geography reaches from the hills on the surface down to the hidden ancient world of fossils and rivers resting right beneath your feet. Now it's your turn to explore. You can start in your own kitchen by making a classic Missouri snack, like a warm plate of toasted ravioli. You could grab a baseball glove and head out to the park, joining a long tradition of passionate sports fans who cheer for their hometown baseball and football teams. Or you can head outside and try to move like the official state amphibian, the American bullfrog. Crouch down low and see how far you can leap across the grass. A map is only the beginning. To truly explore the Show Me State, you have to taste the food, play the sports, and experience the history for yourself.